Community Partners Interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Sean Pickard, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Ilana Waldston, the founder of Recollectiv. Recolectiv's mission is to help people with memory impairments and their care partners gain a new social network, rediscover a sense of accomplishment, and find joy through music making. Thank you for joining us today, Ilana. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's great to hear about all these little organizations that help so much. And I got to be honest with you, Recollectiv, dealing with memory impairments and music, you're kind of talking my area here. So, Ilana, I'm hoping we're going to have a little bit of fun. And
sounds great to me.
Yeah, let's start this off. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself. What was the Ilana Waldston experience? What inspired you to establish Recollectiv?
Well, that's an excellent question. So I have quite a varied background. I was originally a theater kid, and then I became a children's entertainer, and I've done a lot of things since. I've raised 2 kids. I've been a teacher, and I'm in my 60s, and in my 50s, I had the gift of adulting thrust upon me because my parents became unwell, and my mother in particular developed vascular dementia. And so I was put into a caregiving role. And through that role, I was looking for opportunities to get my mother to participate in something with me that she and I would both enjoy and that would stimulate her mind and bring her joy. And so we started off by getting a subscription to the symphony and going to musical theater and that sort of thing. And it was wonderful until her disease developed to the point where she had no filters anymore. So we'd be sitting in the symphony listening to a beautiful piece, and my mother would begin to sing along with the soloists, much to the chagrin of the people sitting next to us who had paid for their tickets and not to hear my mother. And so I kept looking for alternatives, low cost, low risk alternatives where if I bought a ticket and didn't show up because she just wasn't up for it that day, it wasn't going to be costly. Or if we had to leave in the middle for whatever reason, it wouldn't be a big deal. Or if she would speak during performance, it wouldn't be that big a deal. And I found a lot of places, but eventually realized it would be great to have something else. Sorry, there's a very long-winded answer, but you did ask. And I was inspired when one day I was driving along and listening to the radio, and an interview came on with a woman in California by the name of Carol Rosenstein, whose husband had Parkinson's and had dementia related to Parkinson's. And she discovered that when he got to the piano and started playing the piano, he reverted back to what he was like before dementia. And after he played for a while, that would sort of continue. There would be effects that were beneficial to him afterwards. And she started a group called, and this is what really got me, she called the group called The Fifth Dementia. It's a great play on words on the fifth dimension. And I found it funny and found it appealing and thought, we should do that here. And called some friends and we started creating it.
The Fifth Dementia. I love it.
Isn't that hilarious?
That's awesome. Now, in that story, you talked about meeting a number of different people and just the organizations that you had gone through. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because one of the things I noticed on your website, you have a section called Meet Our Friends. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of those community members. Who are some of the friends to meet?
Well, so there were a core of friends who helped me start Recollectiv. I basically called them up and said, look, I've got this crazy idea. Here's kind of what I'm thinking of. Would you want to help build this with me? And to their credit, they said, of course, we'd love to. They are people who have a variety of careers. For instance, Sam Broverman was a math professor until recently. He retired recently, but he's also a jazz lover and a singer and a songwriter. Roz Kindler was a child psychologist, now retired, who also late in life, started a career as a jazz singer. Alan Gottlieb is another one, for instance, who started things with me. And he was a teacher and has always been a music lover and songwriter, with a lot of community. All of them, honestly, are very community-minded people who are involved in all kinds of good works. And so I hit on some wonderful, wonderful people who helped me put this together. And there's more, but I won't go into everybody.
Oh, it's just incredible when you actually start listing the number of people that have an impact on our daily lives and how they do it. So that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone hearing this wanted to be one of those people that becomes a friend of Recollectiv, how would they do that? What's the process? Is it even possible?
Oh, of course. So there's a lot of levels of participation. I mean, the first thing is we have several groups of people. We have people who, for instance, actually have dementia and they have a care partner, whether it's a family member or a paid caregiver, and they participate in our program every week or whenever they feel that they can. There's no obligation, obviously. So they join our group on Saturday afternoons and they sing along while muted. We put up the lyrics. We have some fun. We tell some jokes. We ask the question of the day, and they have a lovely time. We then have participants who don't have memory issues per se, but maybe they're feeling a bit isolated, maybe because of health or geography or other reasons, and they want to connect with community and they love music. And so for them, this is a great hour of fun to sing along with their friends, basically. And then we have song leaders. So these are people who are pretty decent at singing and often accompany themselves with an instrument. And I organize the set list so that the singers rotate and we cover songs from, let's say, traditional, like, let's say, Bicycle Built for Two, all the way through to the 1970s, to some Beatles tunes and some folk tunes and everything in between. And then finally, we have supporters, people who donate to Recollectiv. We have people who work behind the scenes to help us with the website, with outreach, with organizing get-togethers, that kind of thing. So it takes a village, It really is true.
It does indeed. It does indeed take a village. Now, I just want to touch base on some of the mechanics of what we've just covered here, because one of the things that I heard was, you'll mute people. So is this all done on Zoom? Is everyone in their own place on Zoom? Is there a big room where everyone gets together? How does this happen?
Oh, that's a very good question. So initially, when we began Recollectiv, we did it in person, and we had a beautiful home in the pub in the Transact Club, which was perfect because I wanted a setting that was anything but clinical, and a pub is perfect for that. And the Transact Club is such a beautiful community music hub in Toronto, and they were very generous in giving us their space every week. And that worked out quite well for most people. A lot of people came by Wheel-Trans, and yeah, we had a great group there. But then, of course, COVID hit and we could no longer see people in person. And we shifted over to Zoom, which is a mixed blessing. Zoom has challenges, like, for instance, you can't all sing together on Zoom because there's a lag. And so we illustrate it whenever one of our members has a birthday. If one of our participants has a birthday, we do what's called the cacophonous happy birthday. It's a Recollectiv tradition. We have everybody unmute and we lead happy birthday and we sing it together. And it's just a mess. And it's very fun and very silly, but it just reminds people why it is that we only hear the song leader and not everybody else singing along. So that's one of the challenges of Zoom. The advantages of Zoom is that we have now spread Recollectiv well beyond Toronto. So anybody who has an internet connection, you can even join by phone. It's not as much fun, but if you have an internet connection, you can join Recollectiv. It's really easy from your own living room, from your bed, from wherever.
You get the best seat in the house.
Absolutely.
That is awesome. I think I gotta check out one of these cacophonous happy birthdays one time, Ilana. This just sounds awesome. Now I can see it. 30 seconds after the song ends, you're finally getting the last bars through.
That's right. Well, we try to get people to hold the last note, so we all sort of end together. But it's very funny. It's very silly.
That is awesome. Now, since we're talking a little bit about music, and of course, there's so many genres of music. You mentioned everything from the Beatles right to folk and traditional music, shall we say? But what's the most popular genre? Do people have a lot of requests? How does music get into the rotation?
Oh, also an excellent question. So when I first started Recollectiv, I myself am a jazz singer. That's my other work. So I fell in love with jazz in my 40s and have been singing in and around Toronto for the last 17 years now. And that's my love is the jazz era. So initially that was the repertoire, and then people started coming up to me and saying, my dad really loves stuff from the 50s. He's kind of too young for this 1930s, 1940s stuff. Could you do like some hits from the 50s? Oh yeah, okay, sure. We'll add that into our repertoire, no problem. And then somebody said to me, my mom, she was a real folk lover, and she loved those people from the 60s doing their folk music. Could you throw some of that in? So fortunately, we have song leaders who go across the spectrum. We have folk singers, we have pop singers, we have jazz singers, and everything in between. And so I craft the sets now so that each decade is pretty much represented in some way. There's maybe a little bit of country music in there. Anything that people love. It takes me about a month or two to get it into the rotation, but if there's something that they really would like to hear, we'll add it in. We're there for the participants to have a good time.
I can only imagine the song list you would have on some occasions, but that would be a sight to see. But let's talk a little bit about instruments, right? We talked about the popular genres and that. When folks join Recollectiv just on a daily basis, not necessarily as a new member, but are they bringing their own instruments? Can you hear other people's instruments? Is there anything to do with instruments, or is it strictly singing?
No, and it's another excellent question. So one of the other ideas when we started Recollectiv is I thought about instrumentalists who were starting to lose some of their cognition and therefore couldn't play professionally and couldn't play in their community band because maybe they couldn't read the music anymore or keep up. Maybe they'd lose track. And I thought, what a sad thing to lose, to be playing music your whole life and then not to be able to play with a group because of some cognitive issues. So one of the things that we do with Recollectiv that I really love is we have this wonderful musician by the name of Jim Tate, very well-known guitar player in a lot of circles. And Jim has volunteered to create lead sheets for our song list. We do 10 songs every week. 2 of them repeat each week, but so the 8 new ones. And he creates very simple lead sheets. And whoever wants to play along to our session subscribes to his lead sheets. And so they get the lead sheets that week. And if they play guitar, violin, piano, whatever they like, they can sit alone at home and play along while the song leader leads the song.
What is the most unique instrument you've come across in that case, Ilana?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Most unique instrument. I haven't seen anything particularly out of the ordinary. Oh, yes, I have. Oh, my goodness. Totally forgot. So we have this amazing woman, Marjorie Taft. She's 96 years old. She plays the piano. She's played her whole life. And she and her daughter, Bev, join us every second week or so. Bev is a teacher and a singer. And they will lead songs. Whenever I have them scheduled, I make sure Margie and Bev get to lead a few songs. And sometimes Margie just isn't up for getting up and going to the piano. Being 96, having some cognitive issues, occasionally she's just too tired to do that. And so she pulls out her glockenspiel and she plays along while Bev sings. It's charming.
A glockenspiel. That is awesome. I was expecting, more the, what would it be? Electric kazoo or something like that, right?
Oh, I'm pretty sure we've got some people who are kazooing. I may not see them, but I bet they're kazooing out there.
Oh, yes. It's the simple one. Everyone can play the kazoo. So, do you have a favorite? Is there a a song leader or an instrument that a lot of people want over and over again?
I have heard such disparate feedback from people. It's so personal what people love. They love a particular type of song. They love a song that gives them a certain feeling, if not an actual memory. That's one of the reasons why I spread the wealth in terms of the type of music and the era of music, because I want to be able to hit everybody. And there isn't one sort of universal, oh, we love this song in particular. And song leaders, same thing. I mean, they all have their charms. We have our wonderful couple, Sean and Dawn, who play the guitar and sing in harmony. And Sean is known as the dad joke guy. So whenever Sean and Dawn have a song, he will tell one or two dad jokes that have to do with the theme of the song that they're singing.
Oh, you got to get the dad jokes in there.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about a success story, right? Without using any names, don't give anyone away. Can you tell me about a time when someone came to Recollectiv and said, my parent, my sibling, whatever the case may be, needs some help, and I think this would be good for them? What was put in place? What was the outcome?
Well, I've actually had a lot of wonderful feedback with regards to that. We don't, we're not therapists, so we don't necessarily intervene. What we're doing here is providing an opportunity for a person and their care partner or their loved one to participate in music for an hour and just have some fun. But what I have heard from people is it's very poignant. It's like things like my mother waits all week for Recollectiv, because we're only on Saturdays. So she says, my mother waits all week for Recollectiv. She just can't wait for Recollectiv. She participates in a lot of programs, but this is her favorite. And people saying to me that their loved one is more relaxed afterwards, is happier afterwards. Music is a really wonderful tool for the body, for the mind, for the spirit. It's so universal what it does for people. It's incredible. It's also a time machine. It takes people back in time to when they were younger. And that's really special to watch. I've seen faces transform during a song. I've watched somebody youthen in front of my eyes, as you can see the sort of memories dancing past their eyes. It's beautiful.
And when does the Recollectiv mosh pit start? I'm just curious.
That would be something. We're on every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time, or Toronto time. And we also invite people to join half an hour early. So from 1:30 to 2. What we do between 1:30 and 2 is we get the song leaders or sometimes we have special guests. We get the special guests to do a little bit of a sound check, make sure that everybody can hear us, make sure that everybody can see us. And a little time for some socializing, because once we start the music, we have kind of the question of the day in the middle of the session, but there's really not a chance to sort of check in with one another. So we invite people to socialize beforehand.
It's good to have that time beforehand because, like you say, once you start rocking, you don't want to stop. We're underway here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to sign up for Recollectiv, whether either as a member or as a friend, how do they do that? Who do they get a hold of? Is it an email, phone call? What do they do?
Well, the first thing they can do is go to the website, which is recollectiv.ca, and that's Recollectiv without the E at the end because we forgot it. And so recollectiv.ca is the website. And on the website, there is a registration form for people who want to participate. There is also, there's the dog, also a participant in Recollectiv, by the way, the dog. There is also an email link, which is recollectiv@gmail.com. And people can write to me and ask me questions. I will answer them directly. And on the recollectiv.ca website, there's also a link to make a donation if you believe that this kind of programming should be free and available to people, as I do. All of our people who work at Recollectiv are volunteers. Absolutely no one draws a penny in salary from Recollectiv. Any money that's donated is goes with administration. We're under the umbrella of Smile Theater, which is a wonderful organization, and we just churn it right back into our membership and into making sure that we have this available for free for people.
And just out of curiosity, if someone, a member of Recollectiv, if one of your members was working on a song, something they used to play all the time that they're trying to get back into their hands, so to speak, is there an opportunity for them to work with someone or do their own solo or anything of that sort? Is there anything to put the spotlight on an individual, or is it all about the group?
It's mostly about the group. That would be something that I would have to kind of negotiate. I'd have to figure that out. We want to make the experience of the hour flow beautifully. We do a little stretch break in between. We do our question of the day, which is usually an open-ended question in the middle. So time is a bit tight. That said, I mentioned Sam Broverman earlier. Both Sam and Alan write parody songs, and they have occasionally regaled us with one of the songs that are standards that we do at Recollectiv, that they've changed the lyrics to suit Recollectiv or to suit a particular person that we're celebrating. So we do have occasionally something a little different. Certainly a possibility, but this isn't necessarily the place for that.
Understandable. I just didn't know if you guys had that opportunity out there. And considering the parody gentlemen that you have working the scene for you, I might have to record those guys sometime. That would be fun.
Oh, those guys are amazing. They are ridiculously talented and very, very lovely people. So Sam actually wrote a parody of "Look for the Silver Lining," which is called "We Love Ilana Waldston," which is kind of very sweet. They sing it on my birthday.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear. Now, let's get into a little bit of a personal question here, Ilana. Mm-hmm. What is the one thing that you see happening today, and it's happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities or cognitive decline, that shouldn't be, and how do we stop it?
Oh, wow. That's a very deep question, isn't it? I mean, like with just about any group that is marginalized in some way, it's all about respect. It's all about seeing the person as a person, not as a disability or some kind of set of traits. Each person has their own humanity, and that's really very important. We certainly treat people with great respect at Recollectiv. And, each individual brings what they can bring, and we celebrate that. And we don't focus on anything that somebody can't do. It's one of the reasons why I switched from asking the question of the day as something that was a memory to something that's more of an open-ended question, where someone, for instance, who doesn't have many memories could still participate by using their imagination or how they feel at that very moment. We want to be as inclusive as possible.
Those are very important aspects, to be very inclusive. But let's chat for a little bit about future events. Is there anything happening at Recollectiv coming up in the near future that folks might want to participate in?
Well, we're actually starting to wind down our season. We take a break for the summer, mainly because it's very hard to get our volunteers during the summer. And also they've worked hard all year, so we want to give them a break. So our last Recollectiv session of the season is going to be June the 21st. And then we'll take a break and we'll come back in early September. There is talk about doing an in-person event in the fall. We did it last year. It was just great. It was so much fun. I'm remiss I haven't put up the YouTube videos on our YouTube channel, but wow, we just had a great time in person. So I would like to do that again. I'd like to give people the opportunity to see each other, and I'd like to give people the opportunity to get a sense of what Recollectiv is all about. So what I would say is, for anybody who thinks they might be interested, get on the website and shoot me an email and I'll make sure that you get our newsletter. We have a once a week newsletter. And when there's a special event, you'll be the first one to know about it. And if you want to participate, the newsletter has the link to the Zoom, and it also has the list of songs that we'll be doing from week to week. So you can actually go, oh, gee, I don't know that one. I'll look that up on YouTube. Oh, that one, I remember now. Or you might see a song that you particularly love in the list and go, well, I got to make sure I'm there on Saturday because that would be fun.
Oh, I think I got to start looking out for a little bit more Recollectiv stuff going on here. I think that's what I need to do. But in the meantime, if people are looking for more information, how do they get more information on Recollectiv? What's the website, phone number, all that good stuff? How do people get a hold of you?
All right. Well, it's recollectiv.ca. So it's like the words recollect and the word collective mushed together into Recollectiv, but no E at the end because we forgot it. As I said, that's our little joke. Recollectiv.ca, the website, or recollectiv@gmail.com. Again, Recollectiv without the E at the end @gmail.com. And those are the ways to get a hold of us and find out more. If you search us online, you might find us. If you put the E at the end, you're going to get an architectural firm in BC. So they're not the ones you want to talk to.
No, that is for sure. That is for sure. But we are running out of time here, Ilana. So would you care to say goodbye to the folks at home?
I would love to say goodbye. And I will just say, I'm so glad we had this time together. That's just a little snippet.
Oh, that's just a little preview of what we can get there. I think we got to take another look at Recollectiv, folks. But that's all the time we have for this week. Until next time, everybody, I'm Sean Pickard. Bye for now.